We are live. We are live. Thank you, everybody, for being a part of us today. We're live on the Leadership Standard. We hope you all can see us. Share this broadcast. Let folks know that we are live again on the Leadership Standard, and we cannot wait to have you. Today promises to be an exciting time. Please share this broadcast. Join us in this broadcast. We'd love to talk to you about some pressing issues. So yeah, you know what to do. Put a share, put a like. Just make sure this broadcast can be seen by everybody. Let's go on a quick commercial. Alrighty, well, it's another brand new Thursday, and we hope that you all are having an amazing day wherever you are. Things are getting really, really, really rough and tough right now, especially in the international community, and we are seeing exactly how the whole world is responding to the issue of Russia, as well as the whole Ukrainian crisis going on. And one thing you must realize is that the world responding the way they are is because of the fact that they understand the importance of Russia. They understand the importance of Russia. They understand the importance of Ukraine. Uh, they do understand it, and they understand that at the end of the day, the reason why people are suffering is because of the fact that they've not been they're not been taken seriously. All right, the government of Ukraine has realized now, that though that it can protect itself from whether from the Russian invasion, the people have the right to self-defense over from the Russian invasion. But again, when you listen to the news, they can only give you one angle. And I'm not saying I'm perfect in international politics, but Russia is saying that the reason why it has invaded Ukraine is to protect, the rights of indigenous people in the Donetsk and I believe it's Donetsk and Luhansk regions, the provinces that exist in Ukraine. So you must also understand that the political situation that's going on in Ukraine today, we always try to tie that to what's going on in Nigeria, as well as in African nations. You see, there's always this feeling of inferiority complex. The international community is always fast to talk about Russia, Ukraine, even Afghanistan when there is a problem. But how many times have you ever heard them talk about Biafran or the killings, the massacre going on in the lands in Nigeria? The killings going on by the Nigerian government to its own people. Those things don't make headline news in the world news or the world media. And that's because the life of Black people in Africa doesn't mean so much. So I'm not even going to waste too much time to talk about Russia and Ukraine, because those people that are over there, they know what they are doing. They are aware of every consequences. These are folks that have been fighting the war for so long, even during the Soviet Union. And the reason why these wars have been going on long enough in those regions is because the nation of Ukraine, even the nation of Russia, it's so big. It is so big, and there are other people, other tribes, other kind of people, other kind of governments that exist in those places. And some of them want their independence. Most people don't know this. But Russia has finally, recognized the rights of the indigenous people in those areas. They've recognized their rights. So it all depends on on what angle you're seeing it. But again, let's talk about the fact that right now that we have people that are stuck in Russia, what is the Nigerian, or even in Ukraine, what is the Nigerian government doing about it? The answer is nothing. The Nigerian government is absolutely doing nothing to rescue the lives of the people that are currently stuck in Ukraine. All they will do is make promises. All right. The threat of Ukraine, or the threat of Russia in Ukraine, has been happening long since January. There have been enough time to prepare for the likely consequence of what's going to take place in Russia as well as in Ukraine. But again, the failure of leadership is one where the people who are meant to lead are not even aware of what's going on. Or rather, if they're aware, they just sit down and act like nothing and wait until, the situation gets worse. So that's exactly what's going on. All right. Everyone is taking precautionary measures. Every government is taking their precautionary measures, ensuring that their people are safe. But again, the Nigerian government is failing to rescue its own people, failing to save its lives of its own people. All right. Just like they did in Afghanistan. A lot of Nigerians were killed in Afghanistan because the Nigerian government failed woefully to rescue its citizens in Afghanistan. What am I trying to say? There is a failure of leadership in Nigeria where there is no accountability. If you ask the Nigerian government today to give you the list of Nigerians living in Ukraine, they don't have that list. They don't even know the people that are living there. Most of them don't even have access to the embassies. So this is another period where you're going to see nations that are proactive, protecting its own people. Yes, Russia, Ukraine, they are doing something that they've been doing for so long. And the reason why this is happening, in my own opinion, is because at the end of the day, even though people say, yes, Putin is the one instigating all of this, and he has the right to pull back his troops and all these other things. But Ukraine in itself they've been killing their own people. They've been killing the people that have been shouting for indigenous rights. And if the world is going to tell Russia to pull its troops, they need to tell Ukraine to recognize the rights of indigenous people in Ukraine. That's what I think about this whole saga. I believe that the people that are suffering right now in Ukraine, they need the utmost help that they can get. I also believe that when these tensions die down and there is a ceasefire, I also believe that the rights of the indigenous people in Ukraine should be respected. There should be an end to the war. And just as Putin has recognized those nations in Ukraine that are seeking self-determination, those nations their rights should be respected. And if they want a referendum to leave Ukraine, to set up their own nations, they should also be respected. On one hand, you cannot claim that Putin is a bad person. Then on the other hand, you don't do anything about the situation and the ongoing human rights crisis going on in Ukraine. There is a huge human rights crisis going on as well in Ukraine. The world would not report that, but it is what it is, and it is happening. And that is where I stand on this. And without further ado, I intend to actually go into what has been scheduled for my presentation today. All right. You must understand that wherever we find ourselves as human beings, we are constantly at war with each other. Constantly. It is just what it is. We are always at war. The only way we can have peace with each other is when people recognize their rights of everyone to live the way they desire fit, based on the laws of the land. We can't continue to tell people how to live their lives. We can't continue to force people on how to live their lives, Because that is exactly what this world keeps doing. They keep telling people, forcing people how to live their lives. Some people will use religion as a guise to force people to do what they want to do. But if you are so religious, then you can keep your religion to yourself. You don't have to go about creating laws that border on your religion that now affect the rights of other people. And that is where the problem lies. Everyone is trying to force other people to do the things that they do not want to do, and ultimately it leads to a breakdown of law and order. It is time for the government of the world to recognize that people are waking up. People are waking up to their own personal philosophies and their own personal ideologies, as well as waking up to the fact that they believe strongly that they have their own right to self-determination. And if people wake up and recognize the fact that they have a right to self-determination, then they should be left free. In the 1960s, in the 1950s and 1960s, it was a time for independence of nations. African nations were seeking their independence from the colonial rule. But in our generation right now, it is a time for self-determination. People are seeking self-determination from oppressive governments and asking that they want to get out, that they do not want to be a part of any government that oppresses their fundamental human rights, oppresses their right to life and their right to health. And this is what we've seen constantly happen in Nigeria. So for all those Nigerians that are very quick to jump into the bandwagon and be talking about, oh, Russia, this, rights of Russia, the Ukrainians, how about the rights of the people that are suffering in Nigeria? What happened to their own rights? Or don't they have rights? That's exactly what I'm asking. Don't they have rights? And having said that, I'm going to start today's broadcast with this story. Again, this is a story of how bad things have gone in Nigeria. As you can see, again, constantly, the bandits in Nigeria have constantly attacked Kaduna community and kidnapped 22. You're not going to see this on CNN or BBC. You're not going to see all of this information on any of these channels, because these people that are doing these things are not maybe Arabs or white people. They are black people like myself and yourself. And again, as I constantly say, that the rights of black people in Africa, they don't even care about the rights of black people in Africa. All right. And as the world is constantly waking up to the realities that are on ground, that at the end of the day, it is the political decisions that we make that will change the situation and determine the kind of life that people live. It is not enough that you go to church and pray every single day and go to your mosque and pray. The question is, who are you electing as your leaders? The political decisions that people make ultimately will affect their lives and their properties and their health and the lives of their children. It is what it is. A single political decision can change the whole entirety of humanity. These bandits have been ravaging cities in Kaduna State, ravaging cities in Katsina State, ravaging cities even in the eastern part of Nigeria. But this time around, they've been doing so under the camouflage of the Nigerian army. They've been doing so under the camouflage of the Nigerian army, where they go about killing people, raping women, destroying homes. And no one is putting them accountable. There have been more deaths. There have been more deaths in Nigeria alone, even more than the deaths that might likely be recorded in this Ukrainian and Russian crisis. But no one is mentioning those things. The reason why is very simple. The lives of black people in Africa do not matter. And if we do not tell our own stories, no one is going to tell our stories for us. No one. No one is going to tell our stories for us. As we are all watching and seeing how this unfolds in Russia and Ukraine, one thing we must understand is that the governments of those nations have set parameters to protect their own people. What is the likely consequences of if Nigeria gets overrun by bandits and terrorists. Who will protect the people? Nobody's going to protect the people. The army are out there in the eastern part of Nigeria committing war crimes, and no one is talking about these things. We risk our lives every day speaking up about this situation because we know this is the right thing to do. And if we do not stand together as a collective to fight the injustice that's going on in our own faces every single day, rather we are bothering ourselves with what's going on in other parts of the world, which in itself is not a bad thing. But we must also realize that the war is in our land. The same war that we are seeing going on around the world is already in our land. And we must not let this war slide. We must always speak up against it. Russia is doing its own in Ukraine. The terrorists from other parts of Africa are coming down to Nigeria to lay claim over the lands of Nigeria, over the territory of Nigeria. And nothing is being said about that. People are still going about their daily activities. I'm telling people that the way you are seeing it happening in Afghanistan and happening in Ukraine, guess what? Very soon it's going to happen in Nigeria. With this refugee crisis going on and people running about now, we saw it last time in Afghanistan. Now we're seeing it in Ukraine. People are rushing into the airport, trying to get a plane out, trying to fly out of Ukraine. Very soon, this same pressure is going to happen in Nigerian airports. There's going to be a pressure because at the end of the day, the volume and the massive volume of people that we want to take claim over Nigeria, they're already in Nigeria right now, waiting to take claim over the land. And they have all the armory to do so. So let's be very careful. What we are seeing now is not far-fetched. It's already happening in the lands of Nigeria. All right? So let's talk about another story that I feel, is something that we need to talk about. Again, suspected Fulani headsmen have killed a father and son and 3 others in Benue State. As you can see, as I said, this is not a Russia-Ukraine crisis. This is the crisis going on in Nigeria, in Benue State. This was the same Benue State governor that said that the Nigerian government is responsible for the insecurity going on in Nigeria. And I believe him, because at the end of the day, we are clearly seeing what's going on with the rise of terrorism going on in Nigeria. We cannot sit down and close our mouths and act like they don't exist. They exist. So let's be very, very vigilant. Let's open our mouths and talk about these things. No one has time to be running from one airport to another airport. Now they're asking private airlines like Air Peace to go and help out in evacuating Nigerians in Ukraine. But who is going to evacuate the people in Benue State? Who is going to evacuate the people in the southeastern Nigeria and Biafra land that are being killed in Imo State? Who's going to evacuate these people? Who's going to evacuate the people that are being killed by their own people? We must learn from what's going on in Russia and Ukraine. The Nigerian government must learn from it and see how they can prevent such things from happening in Nigeria. If all they do is open their mouths and just talk about, we condemn this, we condemn that, all you can do is condemn it. But the question is, how do you prevent such things from happening in Nigeria? How do you prevent such things from happening in the places that we live every single day? How do we prevent it from happening? We must not be people who just jump from one conversation to another conversation, not even minding the fact that these same things that we're complaining about happening in Ukraine is likely happening in our own countries, in Nigeria. And that is the situation on ground. Ladies and gentlemen, and the folks that are listening to me today, the same thing that you're seeing happening in Ukraine is happening in Nigeria. There is an invasion of terrorists coming into Nigeria and destroying the fabric of the Nigerian society. And yes, it is enough that some people, like myself, believe that Nigeria in itself should be divided into the nations that make up Nigeria, which are very clear. We know about these nations that make up Nigeria. And the only way we can prevent these Fulani terrorists from killing everybody is if we start making this thing our own national problem. Just the same way the inferiority complex in the black people will always jump up to make the problems of other people their problem. It is time for us to make the problem of terrorism our national problem. We must make it our national problem and fight against this evil going on in Nigeria. The terrorists are rising up on all corners and all sectors. We see that every day. We cannot act like we're blind. I want to bring up this story again about Abba Kyari and this statement that was made by Reno Omokri. Nnamdi Kanu was paraded like a criminal on the same day he was illegally kidnapped from Kenya. Where is Abba Kyari? Let us see him paraded like the criminal that he is. This is a very true statement. And this is what I'm talking to you about. The injustice that's going on in Nigeria is bigger than what is even going on in Ukraine at the moment. The injustice going on in Nigeria is way bigger than what is happening in Ukraine. Thank you, Revolutionary Way, for that statement. When you look at it, you will realize that the only reason why, to me, the only reason why the Ukrainian issue is taking global stage is because these people are white people. And I don't want to make this about race, but think about it. The Russian government invades Ukraine. All of a sudden, there is a United Nations extraordinary meeting, emergency meeting. Let's talk. Let's converse. The United Nations Secretary General is on Twitter now every single day talking about, oh, we need to do this. Russia needs to do that. Ukraine needs to do this. We need to call for dialogue. Putin is, Joe Biden is making his own statement. But let's also talk about what's going on in Africa, what's going on in Nigeria. The so-called giant of Africa is also being invaded by terrorists. Terrorists like Abba Kyari, who parades himself with a uniform. No one has seen Abba Kyari apart from the video that was released by NDLEA, where he was still moving around freely. I believe he was an assistant commissioner of police before the only thing that they did was to demote him from the assistant commissioner of police down to like the deputy commissioner of police or something very stupid. They just brought him down one rank. This is the same man that has been investigated by the FBI, been investigated by the NDLEA, been investigated by the Police Service Commission. And when they arrested this man, they didn't even put him in no handcuffs. We've not seen any picture of him carrying anything. Just the same way they parade young people whenever they are caught with drugs. They put them out. NDLEA puts them out with their drugs, take pictures of them, post it on their social media platform, say, yeah, we caught this young person with drugs. Yeah, we caught this young person with 1 ounce of cannabis. We caught this person with this. We caught this. What of Abba Kyari? Pablo Escobar's younger brother, Abba Kyari, where is he? What is the situation of his case? The Nigerian NDLEA, Nigerian government, they are very quick at parading suspects even before they've been prosecuted. They parade them, they put them in handcuffs, they ultimately judge them and say, yes, these people are criminals. Even before the judge has even pronounced them criminals. They do it on behalf of the judge. Why is Nigerian government not doing the same thing with Abba Kyari? That is the question I want you to ask yourself. And the reason why is because of the double standard that exists in Nigeria. And this double standard is a double standard that has existed in Nigeria from the beginning of time till now. A double standard that has existed in Nigeria from the beginning of time till now. I remember when I was a young child trying to get admission into secondary school. As an Igbo child, I had to score way ahead, so many points ahead, more than the other counterparts in the north. Is it my fault that the northern governors have been stealing their money that was meant for education? Is it my fault that these kids are not going to school? Is it my fault that the people that are meant to be in leadership are failing these children? It's not my fault. But why must I, as a young child, be told that I need to score more points to get into secondary school more than the guy from the north? I have to score way more points even to get into university more than the guy from the north. How is that why must I bear the burden of the failure of leadership? The Nigerian people have constantly been held responsible in bearing the burden of the failure of leadership by their own masters and by the people that are currently ruling them. And rather than them opening their eyes to fight against their oppressors, they are fighting against the victims. They are fighting the victims of the same oppression that they are suffering. Why kissing the ass of the people that are putting them in that same poverty and that same penury? So before you look at Ukraine and before you look at Russia, look at your backyard, Nigeria. Nnamdi Kanu was paraded like a criminal. On the same day he was kidnapped. But Abba Kyari, as no one has seen him, with no sign of being paraded for his criminal activities. When Abba Kyari caught Evans the kidnapper, they put him on chains, hand chain and leg chain, saying, yes, we caught Evans the kidnapper, we caught him, blah, blah, blah. They paraded him. They invited journalists. We have not seen any journalists interviewing Abba Kyari on the floor. We've not seen any of that. And we are demanding to see that before we take any of this issue of his arrest seriously. The Nigerian government must show us proof that Abba Kyari is actually in detention where he should be for the crimes he has committed against humanity. Next story I want to talk about is this one about breaking news where 7 people have been killed by the Nigerian Air Force. I don't want us to sweep this under the carpet because this is a serious issue. How the Nigerian Air Force is going about mistakenly killing people is something that we need to talk about. Nobody has been prosecuted for this. No one is being held accountable for this. This is in itself is a war crime. You can't just go about mistakenly killing young people in another country. Whether this is just what I'm talking to you about, the failure of leadership. As far as African leaders are concerned, the people on the floor are just collateral damage. They can just kill them and move on with their lives as if nothing had happened. And this is what we need to fight about. This is what we need to speak about. That the time to hold the Nigerian government accountable is now. To hold them responsible for their failure of leadership is now. They've done more than enough damage, both psychological damage, emotional damage, to the minds and hearts of people. And if young people keep sitting up and shutting up, they will beat them to a point where they won't be able to talk anymore. And that is their aim. But unfortunately, they cannot do that to the people that are fighting for the independence of their nations, like Biafra as well as Oduduwa. I move on to the next story. This is another reason why I say that the young people in Nigeria, we still have a long way to go. If you think that any of these people are ready to give you power or ready to give you leadership positions, apart from being a thug in their mercenary, or apart from being being wasted for no reason, then you're wasting your time. These people that have been there, these horns, these wicked people, are not ready to relieve power. They want to hold on to this power till they die. And when they are done, they will keep passing this ball around themselves. This reminds me of a situation when I was in high school and the seniors would want to play soccer, and the juniors would also want to play soccer. But because the seniors are higher in class and all of that stuff, they would constantly keep playing the soccer the soccer ball within themselves, the football within themselves, and say the young people have no chance yet until we're done playing our soccer before you guys can come and play. This is exactly the same standard, which they should wait. How long are we going to wait for? Tinubu was governor for 8 years. He's still involved in politics till now. But no, he doesn't want to leave the office. He wants to be the president of Nigeria by fire, by force. And every young person should wait. And this is why I'm telling you guys that, listen, Nigeria in itself does not even need an election. Nigeria, to me, does not even carry out an election. What they carry out is a selection. They do the same things with governorship candidates, with senatorial candidates. A governor resigns from or steps down from office. The next thing is bringing his son-in-law to become the next governor. His wife is running for Senate. His brother-in-law is running for commissioner. His sister is running for House of Rep. And this is just how they play this game of politics in Nigeria, with no sense of no sense of decorum, no fear of God, just recycling old heads, family members, recycling stupid people into very critical positions. I'm telling you, it takes more to be a lawyer or a doctor in Nigeria than it takes to be a president of Nigeria. You don't need to have anything to be the president of Nigeria. All you need to have is just a lot of money to throw around and a YX certificate, and that's it. You can be as empty as an empty barrel and still put forth your foot in for presidency, as long as you have money to throw around. And this is what is going to happen in this next election. We're going to see a lot of people throwing money around, buying the rights of people. But I want to tell the people who end up going to go vote, if you take money from anybody and you go and vote that person, at the end of the day, don't come to my page like this and be asking for food stuff and money to eat. Nobody will give you that money. Because at the end of the day, it's the government, your government, that should be responsible for your own provision. In other countries like America, if you don't have money, they will provide you with food stamps to go buy food stuff. It's called food stamps. If you don't even have money, the government will send you money at least for a period of time up until you can get a job. And if you don't even have means of getting a job, they will keep supporting you up until you can find your feet. But Nigerians now have turned to beggars everywhere you go to. Somebody is begging for one thing, begging for healthcare, begging for foodstuff, begging for lights, begging for roads, begging for hospital, begging, beggars. Even their politicians are now international beggars. Running from one country, China is no longer giving us money, so now we want to go and beg Russia. Russia is not giving us money, we want to go and beg Ukraine. Ukraine is not giving us money, we want to go and beg Slovakia. Slovakia is not giving us money, let us go back and beg China. And this is just how they keep rigmaroling the lives of people, lives of young people, put in debt. Their lives are put in debt. Beggars everywhere you turn to. Nigerians are now known for international begging. How long will this begging last? I ask you. How long? It is time for us to sit up and tell ourselves the truth. That the next refugee crisis, and you're going to hear this, the next refugee crisis is going to start from Nigeria. The next refugee crisis in Africa will begin in Nigeria. All these airports that you're seeing, people will be sleeping in the airports. They will be sleeping in the airports, waiting to run. There will be no way to run. At least in Ukraine, the government of Ukraine have allies. They have allies in Poland. They have allies in Germany, and those allies can take and absorb the people that are running. But the Nigerian government, if there is a problem today, I am very certain that before we will see any person who would be ready to absorb the refugee crisis coming up from Nigeria, it will take a miracle. Exactly. Revolutionary way I said what I in the perfect way. If you go about and vote for a stupid person to become your president, don't go about and be asking people for money after that. I did not join you to be in your foolishness. Why must I suffer the same suffering that you have put upon yourself? Don't you know how to clamor for your rights? These fake people go about giving themselves titles, giving themselves power, not for your own personal gain, but for their own family gain. So this is what it is. There's a lot of things happening today. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has been denied access to his lawyers, denied access to food, denied access to basic human rights. Before you start shouting about Ukraine and all of those nonsense, start talking about the thing going on in Nigeria. Charity begins at home. Start talking about what's going on in Nigeria. The people of Ukraine, they have a plan B. They even have plan C. What is happening in Ukraine today? Biden has spoken up. Trump has spoken up. The United Nations Secretary General has spoken up. Israel has spoken. Every nation of the world has spoken up. Why? Because Ukraine has allies. They have allies to protect their interests. Who are the allies of who will be the allies of Nigeria when the destruction that's coming happens finally? Who will be the allies? Who will support us from the rise of terrorism going on from the north, coming down to the south? Who will protect us? Then you see people saying, "Oh, we want the Eastern Security Network to protect us." Is it their job? We want IPOB to protect. Is it the job of IPOB to protect? What happened to the police? What happened to the military? They're going about killing unarmed people, killing innocent people. When the real time comes for them to protect their people, just the same way the Ukrainians are standing up to protect its own people. Let's see if they'll be available. Let's see if the Nigerian army has the wherewithal, the balls to protect the Nigerian people from a likely invasion from the terrorists when they start their full onslaught. Let's see if they will be available. All I'm saying is, whatever is happening in the world today, very soon will be the concern and will start affecting Nigerians. That's all I'm saying. Very soon, this same thing is going on all around the world. Will soon start affecting Nigerians. It's already affecting some Nigerians living in Ukraine. So nothing is far-fetched. At this point, I wish all the people of Ukraine safety, peace, harmony. But more importantly, I wish the people of Biafra safety, peace, and harmony. And the people of Oduduwa as well, safety, peace, and harmony. People who have lost their lives to these wicked militants running around, the Fulani headsmen that are going around killing people. I wish you all safety, peace, and harmony. But in the meantime, as we are watching what's happening in Ukraine, rather than us opening our mouth and just be saying, wow, let us pick a pen and a paper and start writing down the things that Ukrainians will do to protect its own people. And ask ourselves, if this happens in Nigeria, what plans do the Nigerian people or the Nigerian government have for Nigeria? I'm going to leave it at that. Let's see if there's any plan they have from a likely invasion of terrorists. Do we have bunkers? We don't have bunkers. Do we have safe houses? We don't have safe houses. Do we have places where people can go and hide from rockets? Do we? No, we don't. Okay. I wish all of us well. God bless you all for watching. Thank you, Revolutionary Way. Thank you, everyone, for joining. People who have spoken up, I really appreciate your persistence and coming through. God bless us. Have a wonderful week. I intend to be this weekend with Susan Mount. So please join us again. I'm going to have the amiable Susan Mount on the show very soon. Thank you and have a great day.